Hello everybody, welcome to the core content lecture. This one will be focusing on timed true reversals. So getting started, timed true reversals are correlated to the weekly cycle in specific. Timed true reversals function similar to a normal true reversal, but they are usually shorter lived and are tied to weekly halving theory. A timed true reversal only requires one Kraken correlation to be valid. So you're probably wondering, okay, how are timed true reversals correlated to weekly halving theory? Well, where you expect a higher low of the week to form within a specific half is also where you want that timed true reversal to form. Generally, the first half will serve you a lot better for a timed true reversal, meaning, let's say you expect Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to form the low of the week in a bullish scenario, and then a Kraken correlation forms between the days of the week in that first half, then you would consider that a timed true reversal. So looking a little bit closer, you can expect 1 to 2 timed true reversals a week, but encapsulating one is enough. And the Kraken correlation required for a timed true reversal is either a weekly sequential SMT by itself, a 4-hour TPD, or a 1-hour TPD. So a 1-hour TPD is going to be a lot less common. Generally, the weekly cycle sequential SMT and 4-hour TPD will serve you a lot better, but sometimes in very rare scenarios, a 1-hour TPD can also work. And once a timed true reversal has taken place, expect price to be one-sided until opposing liquidity is breached or until the week closes. And now looking at a chart example, so as you all know in yesterday's price review, so we would go a little bit deeper into what we see here. So now this should make a little bit more sense. So getting started with understanding the importance of weekly halving here. So as you all know, we wanted to see a 2-3 split, meaning we wanted to see Monday or Tuesday form the higher low of the week, and then either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday form the higher low of the week. And as you can see, on the Dow in specific, Tuesday formed the low of the week, Thursday formed the high of the week. On the NASDAQ, Wednesday formed the low of the week, and Thursday formed the high of the week. So specifically with timed true reversals, you'll notice that the high and low of the week that forms by means of a timed true reversal will generally be unsymmetrical, meaning, as what you can see right here, as we can see, the Dow formed the low of the week on Tuesday, while the NASDAQ formed the low of the week on Wednesday. So this adds a little bit more probability to a timed true reversal. And as we can see, it was a weekly cycle sequential SMT by itself. There was no confirmation here. There was no lower time frame Kraken correlation. It was there, and that was enough. And if we compare that to the Kraken correlation that formed at the high end of the range, and if you've been following along, then you already know, in theory, this should not outweigh what was up here. But yet price still took off higher using this as opposing liquidity. Why? Because it was a timed true reversal in tune with weekly halving theory. So timed true reversals by themselves can outweigh things in price that you wouldn't expect them to outweigh. And another thing to add on to is, as you all can see right here, these highs were our draw on liquidity, specifically for the NASDAQ. In this lecture, I stated that once you have a time to reversal, price will generally be one-sided until opposing liquidity is met. So I got asked a lot, okay, why was Friday of this week super low probability? Well, if we look from the time that we had that timed true reversal, price was a one-sided, one-sided, one-sided until it breached that opposing liquidity. So something to keep note of is once price breaches that full final liquidity target, generally price will be consolidative and lackluster. And that is a trend, and that is a characteristic that you'll commonly see whenever I point out specific highs and lows. Generally, once price breaks those highs or those lows as our higher time frame target, price will go into a consolidation. So how do you know when a consolidation or low probability conditions are likely to be in play? If price has already met a weekly objective, meaning from a timed true reversal specific to the weekly cycle, price tags opposing liquidity being a weekly objective. Soon as price breaches that, that's whenever price needs to stabilize. So it will no longer be one-sided and you no longer have a narrative, because from the time of the time to reversal till this high is met, price, like I said, is likely to be one-sided. So you have narrative and you have framework to base that around. But whenever you have that opposing liquidity being met, then price will go into a period of stabilization. So then it can form another Kraken correlation before repeating the same phenomenon again. Now, if an opposing liquidity had not been met or doesn't get met from that week that you do have a time to reversal, then generally whenever Friday closes, sometimes you will see Monday or Tuesday in that following week move opposing to that time to reversal. So generally there is an expiration on these sorts of Kraken correlations that form. And if that opposing liquidity isn't met soon or until the end of the week, then you will see sometimes an unprompted reversal. So that's also another thing to keep note of. But a little gem is that if you, and we're just going to use this right here because this is, like I said, none of this is hindsight. We wanted to see this exactly play out. And that's why I'm using this chart example in specific. But another thing to keep note of with timed true reversals is that once you do have an intra-week timed true reversal, you can have the bias for 1 to 3 days. And it's all dependent on the actual day of the week that that time true reversal forms. So let's say the time true reversal were to form on a Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're looking for price to expand in the direction of the higher time frame target until that target is met. And the absolute best day to trade is the day after a timed true reversal playing off of a continuation. And you can frame exactly with the external to internal. You can have that exact same framework with it. It's very lucrative. There's a lot of things that work well with this. But while it is very simple, time true reversals, once you get a very, very, very good understanding of them, they can be extremely powerful and extremely beneficial, and it works perfectly in tune with everything that has been taught this year. This is like quote unquote bias made easy. But anyways, hopefully you all found this one insightful. I'll speak with you all again soon. Good luck and enjoy your weekend.